marling hue. And now, as we look, he adds to the collection the word Mitchell Heaver. This one seems to please him particularly, for he places against it a couple of crosses. Then, inspiration apparently leaving him for the moment, he pushes back his chair and, rising, begins to pace the floor. It is the custom nowadays to describe all successful men who are stumpy and about 20 pounds overweight as Napoleonic. But, hackneyed though the adjective is, it must be admitted that there was indeed something suggestive of Napoleon in the port of Sir George Pyke as he strode up and down his office. His generously filled waistcoat, and the habit he dropped into in moments of meditation of thrusting the fingers of his right hand in between its first and second buttons, gave at any rate a superficial resemblance to the great Corsican, and this resemblance was accentuated by the gravity of his plump, determined face. He looked like a man fond of having his own way, nor in the last 20 years of his life had he often failed to get it. The desk telephone emitted a discreet buzzing sound, as if it shrank from raising its voice in the presence of such a man. "Mrs. Hammond to see you, Sir George." "Send her in, send her in. Good heavens, Francie!" exclaimed the proprietor of the Mammoth Publishing Company as the door opened. "I've been phoning your house half the morning trying to get hold of you." "How fortunate that I happened to look in," said Mrs. Hammond, settling herself in a chair. "What is it?" Frances Hammond, née Pyke, was a feminine replica of her eminent brother. She lacked his second chin, but had the same bright and compelling eyes, the same over-jutting brows which lent those eyes such keenness, the same high colouring and breadth of forehead. Sir George was conscious once again, as he looked at her, of that little thrill of admiration which she always awoke in him. "What did you want to see me about?" asked Mrs. Hammond. Sir George drew a deep breath. He had tremendous news to impart, and an instinct for drama urged him not to spoil this moment by blurting the secret out too abruptly. But ecstasy was too strong for his sense of the dramatic. "Francie, old girl," he cried, "what do you think? They've offered me a peerage." It was not easy to shake Frances Hammond's poise, but these words accomplished that miracle. For a full 10 seconds she sat there staring, open-mouthed, while Sir George, blushing and on the very verge of giggles, pulled self-consciously at his scarlet-knitted wool waistcoat, the famous Pyke waistcoat which was one of the sights of London. "A peerage?" "Letters over there on that desk. Came this morning." "Georgie!" Mrs. Hammond scrambled out of her chair and kissed her brother fondly. There were tears in her commanding eyes. "I thought it would please you." "I am proud of you, Georgie, dear. What a culmination for your splendid career." "And who helped me build that career, eh?" "I have always done what I could," said Mrs. Hammond modestly. "But of course it was you." Sir George thumped the desk and, happening to strike the sharp edge of a wire paper basket, wished that he had expressed his emotion a little less muscularly. He sucked his hand for a moment before speaking. "You have been the making of the business," he said vehemently, when the agony had somewhat abated. "I couldn't have got anywhere without you. Who suggested the 'How many pins does the Prime Minister's hat hold' competition in Pyke's Weekly when it was touch and go if it could turn the corner? From that moment Pyke's Weekly never looked back. And on Pyke's my whole present fortune is founded. The fact is, from the very start we have worked as a team. If I had the ginger, you had the judgment. I don't suppose there's a person in the world whose judgment I respect as highly as I do yours, Francie." Mrs. Hammond beamed. "Well, Georgie, I'm sure I'm only too glad if my efforts to play Egeria have been successful." "Play what?" said Sir George, looking a trifle blank. "Egeria was a goddess who helped and inspired the Roman king Numa Pompilius. At least, so Sinclair tells me." She referred to Mr. Sinclair Hammond, the well-known archaeologist, who enjoyed the additional distinction of being her husband. "Now, there's a fellow," said Sir George, "who, if he had a little drive and initiative, would go far. Plenty of brains." Mrs. Hammond forbore to discuss her husband. She had grown used to his dreamy lack of ambition, his undynamic acceptance of his niche in the world.